Matthew Wade's hopes of retaining his Test spot and featuring in his maiden Ashes campaign appear all but over after yet another failure with the bat. Wade's last-ditch bid to appear in next week's series opener against England were dealt a potentially fatal blow when the Tasmanian was bowled for 5 on day 1 of the Sheffield Shield clash against Victoria at the MCG on Monday. He had found himself at the crease a little earlier than expected when the Tigers slipped to 3-63 before lunch. He struggled to get going, although it could be said he largely adopted a cautious approach alongside former Test batsman George Bailey, heading to the first break unbeaten on 4 off 32 balls. The left-hander looked to attack more immediately after the break, playing and missing outside off stump, but his undoing would come when he attempted to pull a Peter Siddle delivery which was well pitched up from around the wicket and hit middle and leg stumps. It was an odd decision to make at such a crucial juncture in his career. While the national selectors were already increasingly likely to recall Peter Eville as Glover when the Test squad is announced on Friday, Wade still had an opportunity to show why he should have been firmly in the frame. He has begun the domestic season poorly, falling for 1 and 6 against Western Australia and 9 and 17 against Queensland. That would not have mattered much had his international form since his return to the Test side in Adelaide last summer been strong. However, that was far from the case. He has averaged 20 since, and passed 50 only once in 16 innings. That he was dropped for a one-day international in India last month showed the selectors were losing patience. Test opener Matt Renshaw has also missed another opportunity to post a score before the first Test, falling for 16 as Queensland host New South Wales in a Shield match at Brisbane's Allan Border Field. Renshaw was less than impressed after being given out nicking one to Eville off the bowling of Trent Copeland. He seemed convinced it came off his back pad, but the decision stood, and so did his poor form this Shield summer. His score on Monday adds to knocks of 17, 16, 1, 19 over the first 2 rounds. It's the 4th time he's made it into the teens but been unable to go on and produce a substantial innings. Even a 50 would have lifted some of the pressure off Renshaw with just over a week until the Ashes opener at the Gabba. David Warner and Yuzuma Khawaja have both backed him to shake off the wobbles and return to form. Justin Langer has been a vocal advocate of both Cameron Bancroft and Shaun Marsh for the first Test, but Renshaw looks certain to be given the opportunity to show his wares against the tourists next week, but he would love some runs in the second innings of this clash to give him some confidence against an England attack led by the experienced pair of James Anderson and Stuart Broad. The pressure on Wade rose further with Tim Paine, his Tigers teammate and a former Test Glover, returning to the Tasmanian side. Paine, having played in the Cricket Australia 11 against England in Adelaide, eschewed the opportunity of again face the tourists this week, instead opting to head to Melbourne.